folks that are online and folks that we are going to be listening to this and watching this later on. This is Gene from Regular Guy Mountain Biking. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight, we're going to be talking about nomads with my buddy Dre. All right. Dre's got a Nomad, and he's been posting some wicked pictures on Instagram. And there it is. Yes. Oh, hold on. Okay. Say something, Dre.
This is my baby. Yeah. It's sick pictures and all the upgrades. I always say whatever I lack in skills, I make up in upgrades, you know?
There you go, man. There you go. So what happens? So Dre's a follower of a lot of us. You can see he's got one of the BKXC shirts on there. He's a big supporter of all of us. Really cool dude. And I follow him on Instagram. Saw all his Nomad pictures, and I thought this would be cool. Let's just go and do a Nomad night where we could just talk about our bikes, why we picked them, and stuff like that. But before we even do that, let me let Dre take the mic for a minute and say hello and maybe give a couple of things about, your channel and stuff like that. Go ahead. Good. Take the mic, buddy.
So MLC Adventures, it started out a couple of years ago with RC cars. We developed hobbies over the years, and we went from RC cars to drones and now to mountain bikes. And it's me and my buddy James, who unfortunately couldn't be here because he's working. But yeah, I mean, it's just two regular dudes making videos about what we're passionate about.
RC cars. That's another, my buddy Frank, who's online right now. That was a very dangerous area for us. We spent a bit of money on car. I've got, if you can't see it over here, but over on that wall over there, I had about 10 of them for a while. Yeah. Frank had a bunch of them. We'd go out racing and stuff like that. We had to cut our hobbies down a little bit because it gets expensive, man. Oh my gosh.
It's really expensive. Yeah. Because every time you go ride play with the RC car, you break something, and it's always hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Frank knows it right now. Oh no, don't go there. Exactly, buddy. Yeah, some money. Yeah, yeah, right. Not just some money. You're right, Frank. It's just like crazy money, and you're totally right. Every time we went to the track, usually we'd have to bring a couple cars because if we wanted to actually get to ride around for a better part of the night, we'd know we'd be breaking something before anything got going. So it was always that.
For sure.
Oh man, good times. Well, anyway. Tonight, though, we probably could talk about RC cars, and I thought that you did. So your email address had RC in there. I'm like, no, don't tell me he has RC cars.
Yeah.
There you go. That's right, Goat. Yeah, the nitro ones. The nitro ones are tough to keep going. All kinds of crazy stuff, man. All right, but let's get on to the meat and the potatoes of this show tonight. So where we're going with it is this. I got a Nomad. Okay. I was lucky enough to work out a little deal to get one of these. I had a good friend of mine, Jeff, that was able to help me get me a Nomad. So I always like to put that in there because I don't want to say things and people say, oh, well, he got it for, so I always like to come clean and let everyone know that right away. Would I have bought this bike anyway? I got to tell you, man, it's gotten some amazing reviews. So it would be kind of cool. And the reason why I wanted to get a bike like this in general is because I wanted to get back to Mountain Creek. That's a bike park right down the street from me. And it's a little bit more aggressive and more than my Trek Remedy could handle. And a lot of people are riding bikes like a Remedy there. It's not that the bike really couldn't handle it, but the rider didn't have the skills to handle that type of terrain with that level bike. I needed something that would help me get through more of the stuff because my skill level wasn't there. So I decided to get something different, and I went with the Nomad. And I'll be happy to tell you all about mine and what I did to it and what I want to do to it. But I would be curious to send it over to my buddy over here and find out why did you go with the Nomad, man? What was the reasoning behind you getting a bike like this?
Well, like everyone. I demoed a bunch of bikes, and I was interested in the Santa Cruz, not in the Santa Cruz, in the Specialized Enduro. And I tried it, and I didn't like it, didn't fit me. And the bike shop that I went to had the Santa Cruz Nomad on display, and I just sat on it. I tried it, I rode it around for a little bit, and I just fell in love with it. It was the right geometry, the right bike for me, and it just worked.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm also typing into the chat, answering some questions at the same time. So forgive me over here, my buddy, but do like to take care of the followers. So I never even rode it. I never even rode the bike. I knew I was going to get a Santa Cruz because of the arrangement that I had. It would be silly not to take advantage of that. And it wasn't like I had to do it with a brand that would be like, well, you know, you can get a deal, but the bike is like, but you get a deal, you know?
Right.
But luckily Santa Cruz, it's like Santa Cruz. Did you know this, Dre? Santa Cruz is now, and folks online, Santa Cruz is, hey, Mr. Bearded MTBR, thanks for joining, buddy. They are actually the largest full suspension mountain bike seller, you know, in the United States now. A lot of people would think, you know, Trek, Giant, the larger companies, they sell more bikes in general in sheer volume. But when it comes to actual full suspension mountain bikes, Santa Cruz is now leading the entire US on bikes. So that kind of says something for the quality of the bike and how popular it is. So that's pretty freaking sweet.
For sure. I didn't know that, but I believe it. You know, it's such a solid company that you can't really go wrong. You can buy a bicycle blind and
right.
know that it's going to be okay.
And that's kind of what I did. I'm not going to lie to you. I never even rode this thing. I just rolled the dice and took a chance, and it was a good chance. But it's not like I didn't do any research. So Santa Cruz has a V10, which is their more downhill specific mountain bike. Yeah. And so you might say, well, Gene, why didn't you go with that? You said you wanted to use the bike for park. Why didn't you go with that? And the reason why I didn't go with it is because if I go with a V10, that's really a downhill specific, insane downhill specific mountain bike. And I don't need a bike that dedicated to downhill. I am certainly not good enough to even justify a bike at that level. Plus, I would be certainly buying a bike that's going to be for a specific purpose and wouldn't be able to use it for anything else, you know, unless it's like, hey, let's get a bunch of people together and shuttle run. I don't have the time to even do. So I'd have this extremely expensive bike that would go out for maybe a couple months, at the most a year. So I needed to get something that I could also use otherwise for pedaling, which is why I want to talk to you, because you're using your bike, the Nomad, for more than just using it just for downhill. So that's right. I want to talk to you about that. What do you like about using these things and the pedaling? Because it's got the VPP suspension platform. So I got to tell you, pedaling on this thing is pretty freaking sweet. What do you talk a little bit and tell me about this thing and what do you think?
Well, you're right. You know, if you wanted a downhill specific bike, then you would have gone for the V10, right? But I wasn't looking like you. I wasn't looking for a downhill bike. I was looking for a bike that could do it all. And when I looked at the Nomad, I saw their suspension system was attached to the bottom link, just like the V10. The promise of better performance uphill and in regular trail condition was there. I read a lot of reviews, and when I rode it, it's really a bike that can do it all. You don't have to commit to a downhill bike only. This can do it all. You can adjust the suspension, you can lower the bottom bracket, and you can take it downhill. Or I've ridden it in regular XC trails, and it does perfectly well. Yes, it's not the best climber in the world, but there are things that you can do about that. You know, one of the things that I've done personally, and I don't know, probably the comments now will start exploding, but the oval chain ring, it helped a lot. First ride in, I noticed a difference.
Yeah, so I've done a bunch of shows about oval chain rings. I've had Absolute Black on the Bike Chat going through why it works. This is all I'm going to say about oval chain rings. Some people will say maybe it's just in your head. Some people will say I'm not really sure. All I can say is that it's not that inexpensive an upgrade to at least give it a shot and give it a try. I personally haven't tried it yet, but I've heard consistently nothing but good things about an oval chain ring and how it's helped make things work better for them in the way of climbing. And also I've heard from my buddy Chris off the line. He was able to jump off the line faster because of the way the gearing was. So it's definitely something that is interesting. Real quick, Dre, I want to introduce you to everyone again. Some of the folks just joined over here and they're like, hey, introduce your guest. I'm like, well, I did introduce my guest. I would never not do something like that. That'd be totally, it'd be like bringing a buddy to a party and say, okay, how am I doing? Oh yeah, there's this guy over here. So my guest is also a really nice guy, also a fellow Nomad owner, and his name is Dre, and he runs MLC Adventures. And if you want to hear more about him, you could just rewind the video.
There you go.
But
I'm the drunk cousin, second removed.
So, not to turn this into an oval chain ring conversation,
for sure.
But you know, Will brings up a good point. Your legs. Hey, no problem, Bearded. Look, hey, Bearded, you're on the show. I appreciate you even joining in. Don't even sweat it. And I'm glad you said that because other people are just joining in and they'll want to know who this dude is over here. So, Will Covey, he brought up a good point. He's like, look, your legs climb, not your chain ring. Here's the thing, man. Everybody's got an opinion on these things. And I've also even heard from the fact that from Absolute Black themselves, they even said, depending on your pedal stroke and how good your stroke is on that, you may or may not even feel the benefit of an oval chain ring. And that basically came from them because I wanted to bring them in on the show. So it's one of those things where you have to give it a shot and see. But you know, Will, I won't knock you for that, dude. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, it is your legs. Don't think an oval chain ring, and we should probably talk more about Nomads, but don't think an oval chain ring is going to all of a sudden make you climb Mount Everest. You got to have the wind and the legs to back the ring. Okay, so Will, I definitely want to back you up on that. You're right, man. It's you still have to be a rider. I still think it'll help, but if you don't got the snot, you're not going to get up the hill either way. And
he's probably right. There's some sort of placebo effect, you know, perhaps in play with having a oval chain ring, and that's fine. You know, it's probably rider preference.
Yeah, exactly. And who asked this? Joe, yes, you can use an oval chain. I got to do another oval chain ring show. Yes, you can do an oval chain ring with an eagle. Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, it works. Okay, so that being said, not that we're going to go and focus totally on oval chain rings, but did you do anything special to your bike, Dre, to make it more pedalable besides the oval chain ring? And I'm just curious about that because I'm half and half on how far I'm going to go, and I'd like to learn from you so I don't spend any money on it. It doesn't work.
Sure. Well, one of the biggest complaints that I've had with the bike was the Super Deluxe R shock, rear shock. Which is a great shock. It's awesome. It doesn't have a lockout though.
Yeah.
And so you lose a little bit of that pedaling efficiency when you're going uphill. And so I actually switched to a Fox Float X2, a 2018 with the lockout, which is not on the bike. It was supposed to be installed today, but I wanted to have the bike behind here, so I took it back from the mechanic.
He told me that you're like Gene, can we move this thing? I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm going riding tomorrow night, and I got other shows going on. It's like, all right. But you know, and I'm really glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk to you about that shock. But finish your thought, please.
That's how committed I was. I went straight to the mechanic and I said, I need the bike back, and he's like, but the shock is removed. I'm like, well, put it back on. It's you know, the ability to lock out obviously gives you a little bit of a pedaling benefit, you know, uphill. And so you know, I just went with the Float X2 simply because I could tune it a little better, given the suspension type and the dual pivot, one rotating clockwise and one counterclockwise. I felt like, you know, being able to tune it a little bit will give it a little bit better climbing performance and braking performance.
Gotcha. So I'm really glad you said that because I would have to say that my only disappointment with the bike is also that shock. So I mentioned this already earlier in the show. I always want to come clean about this. I did get this bike for a very, very big discount, but it's still a $5,500 bike. Regardless of what I paid for it, it doesn't change what the price tag is if you wanted to buy I have the Carbon C S build. Okay. And for $5,500, I have to say that I was expecting to get all the bells and whistles on that shock. It also doesn't have the lockout on the fork either. And I would have to say that I was a little bit disappointed about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not entirely missing the lockout on the fork. I don't notice a big difference climbing. What I did, I changed the stem to a 6-degree up angle.
Okay.
And for some reason, it's, you know, it works for me. I mean, there's the bike geometry, but there's also my geometry, and you sort of trial and error things until something works, you know?
Right. Do you know the number off the top of your head about the slack angle of that head tube? Do you have it there?
It's 65 degrees in the high mode, and 64.6 or 64.5 when it's in low mode.
Okay, so Mr. Bearded MTBR, these bikes do have a flip chip in the suspension, so you can change the height of the bottom bracket, which also changes the steepness of the head tube. But it is slack. There's no doubt about it. Let me tell you, I took this thing to Mountain Creek, and I was doing all the crazy, stupid stuff I used to be able to do when I was a young kid. Is that? Oh, Mr. MTB Plumber's on. He was Rob. That's the guy I was just riding at Mountain Creek with.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And we were doing some fun stuff, and I was able to just bounce off of things like I used to, very much because of the steepness, the slackness rather, of that head tube. I was just kind of hanging back and chilling out and just letting that thing just knock shit over, man. It was insane.
Yeah. If you put your butt behind the saddle, it'll eat it. It'll eat whatever you throw at it.
Totally, man. So that also obviously changes what the bike is for pedal wise, right? You don't have that aggressive standing over the bars type of thing, but this bike is not for that. So let's talk about what we think the bike is for, and maybe talk about some more of the upgrades you did to yours. I'll talk about mine as well, and go for there. If you were going to categorize, my buddy Frank asked this. I tried to categorize the bike, but let me get your opinion. Where would you categorize a bike like this? Who do you think would benefit from a bike like this, Dre?
That's a tough question. You know, obviously it's marketed as an enduro bike. That's the beauty of the Nomad and this new geometry. You can make it do whatever you want. You know, if you're into XC riding, obviously I wouldn't recommend buying a Nomad, but for any of you guys, regular Joes that just want a better bike, something that builds your confidence, that's the bike for you. I mean, one of the biggest improvements that I've made in my mountain biking career, if you want to call it, is being super confident in any kind of terrain. So I wouldn't know how to classify it specifically. There's that term all mountain that I don't know about you, but I don't know what that means, but maybe that's what it is. It could do it all on a mountain.
Yeah. The thing is, it's one of those bikes that, first of all, the one that I have, I think it's like 28 pounds. I did get the carbon one. Which model did you end up getting there, buddy?
So I have the aluminum model because I didn't have that much money. But it works. I mean, in the end, it's 32.6 pounds, considering that I'm running Cushcore both front and rear. So it's slightly on the heavier side, but to be honest with you, I'm 205 pounds. I could lose some weight on me before.
And we're gonna bring up your Cushcore video in just a couple of minutes. I watched that before we did this today. Yeah. So okay, folks. So if you're gonna get the aluminum one, it is a heavier bike. Okay. But not crazy heavy. I think if I weighed my Trek Remedy, it'd be pretty darn close. So it's probably pretty darn close. And yeah, we're gonna have to get some close-ups. We're gonna have to bring the camera closer to our bikes. People want to see what it looks like. But basically, I did get it with the intent of using it to pedal. So the idea is this: where I live, and my buddy Frank's online over here. We got my buddy Rob, Mr. MTB Plumber, on the line. We're northeast. It's very rocky. It's pretty aggressive riding. It is very hilly, so I can't say that this bike is going to help me with that at all. But my buddies can contest that. It doesn't really matter what bike I'm on. I'm slow as hell, and I'm going to whine no matter what hill I get to. So, you know, I can't really blame it on the bike. But I wanted to maybe at least give it a shot. So with the VPP pedal platform and the SRAM Eagle, right? The GX Eagle, you've got some pretty good pedaling, and it is pretty aggressive to get up the hill. So I was impressed. Like I said, there we go. My buddy Chris just joined online. You know, he's a guy. He could also agree that we ride in some pretty bumpy stuff around here. So I do think that I'm going to get to use this for more than just the just the downhill stuff.
Yeah, it does well everywhere. It's a very, very open platform. You know, you change things around and you make it work the way that you want it to. I am really, really, really passionate about the VPP suspension. I know some people might not like it, and that's okay. But the small bump compliance and the braking performance is something that I've grown to love a lot. Well,
one of the sections over at Mountain Creek, you go down Outlaw, and then we went and took Tempest. I'm not expecting you to know this trail, but some of the folks that are local will know this. There is a hill we have to climb up to get to those back trails. And I got to say, man, I was like, damn, this thing really did pedal pretty darn good. And if you ask and search online, the Nomad is getting some pretty good reviews for pedaling. So I was impressed. But you did some other things to your bike. So let's talk about what you did on some upgrades on your bike so far.
So all the upgrades, as a disclaimer, all the upgrades that I've done are not just cosmetic. They are for a specific purpose. One of the first things that I've done is change the handlebars to carbon bars. Because I was getting a lot of hand pain after steep long descents. And so I tried the carbon handlebars, and I tried some silicone grips, and pain is gone. So I love it. It's one of the best upgrades that I've done to the bike so far. The other upgrades was the brakes. So the bike came stock with Code R brakes. I don't know. Yours probably has the R's.
I'll just take a look. I have to take a look at which ones they are. I'll go check. But yeah, definitely keep on going with that. Yeah.
They're excellent brakes. I love them. The only problem is that they're great when they're cold. Once they overheat just a little bit, you lose braking performance. And I was going to the handlebar with my brake and not getting anything. So I changed to Hope. Those are the Hope Tech 3 E4 brakes with 203 millimeter rotor in front and 180 in the back, and I'm in love.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I have to say that. So I'm a bit of a SRAM fanboy, and I had the guide brakes on my Remedy. I had to upgrade the rotors on that to use that at a downhill bike park because it just wasn't stopping. It would stop, but there was no modulation. I was basically like, stop, I'm gonna die. Go. Stop, I'm gonna die. Go. Yeah. That's not really a good way to ride your bike. No. The codes, so far for me, I gotta say they've been pretty good. We do have a weight difference between the two of us. So you're certainly putting your bike through more with that. Okay, so that could be it. I am thinking about upgrading my front rotor to a 203. It's got the 180s front and back. And the reason why I want to upgrade mine is not because my codes are not braking, but I think I'll get more modulation if I upgrade the front rotor, because then it's even less work on the caliper. You've got more leverage, and I can even just really bring that into where I want it to be, you know?
Let's say per wheel rotation, you will have a larger surface, right, to brake upon, right?
Yes.
If you have a larger rotor, the wheel is turning the same revolutions no matter what.
Right.
So with the larger rotor, one of the things that I've found is that I need to be slightly more careful when I'm braking and turning.
Okay.
Simply because
it stops faster.
Because it stops.
Wow.
And then you keep going. Momentum keeps you going in one direction, and the bike stops. So I mean, it's one of those things that you just have to get used to it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do any of you guys have Hope brakes out there? I've heard good things about Hope brakes. They're a little expensive, and they seem to be more of a, I don't want to call it a specialty item, but they seem to be a high-end upgrade type of thing. I haven't seen any. I haven't seen many. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't seem like a lot of companies stock that brake on the bike. Maybe because they're such high-end brakes and they cost so much money. I don't really know.
Well, if you wanted to upgrade your Code brakes to the Code Ultimate brakes, those are actually more expensive. If you buy the whole set of front and rear brake with the rotors, that's a $700 commitment.
Oh, wow.
Those brakes were $500, including rotors and adapters and all of that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not ridiculous. Yeah. I'll take a look at mine and see what I have on mine, but I probably just have the Code R's. I don't think I have the other ones over there.
Which are great. And as long as you're paying attention to temperature. So if you're going 20-minute downhill without ever stopping super fast and you're applying the brake the whole time, probably you're going to lose a little bit of performance. As long as you take regular breaks, you know, and let the brakes cool off a little bit, then and you can always switch pads. You know, there's always like organic versus sintered pad, you know, difference and all of that.
True.
I like organic pads in general.
So you went with new brakes. You got the oval chainring.
The oval chainring.
Carbon bars. And what other things did you do on this thing so far?
That's about it.
How about pedals? What kind of pedals do you like to ride?
You know, I have the Race Face Chester, simply because that's what I've used.
Okay.
All the time. They're cheap, they work, they're light. I don't have any major complaints about them. You know, if I were to change them, it would be only for cosmetic reasons, just because I wanted the red ones. But they perform just fine. I never had a problem with them, and I ride flats. I cannot bring myself to ride clips. I'm too scared. That's about it. And the shock, yes, the shock. I've changed the shocks, which is not installed in the bike yet.
Awesome. Hey, real quick, I'm getting some messages over here. Yeah, look, totally off topic, folks, but yeah, I am going to be planning a Vermont trip in October. There'll be more news about that soon. Kingdom Experience. I did a bike chat with those guys. Really, really cool dudes, and we're going to put together a hell of a good event. It's going to be a regular guy mountain biking event up in Vermont, first week of October. My birthday's October 6th, so we're going to do a little birthday explosion going on up there. Should be a freaking really good time. So, okay, just because I'm trying to type all this over here and tell everyone. So there you go. Now I took care of the whole thing in one quick sentence. So, all right, now something you and I did both on our bikes. We should talk about that. We want to talk about the Invisi Frame. How'd that go?
Right.
How'd that go?
That was super easy, man. I installed. I bought it on November 22nd, and I didn't ride the bike until November 26th because on the 25th I was supposed to get the Invisi Frame, and I installed it. It's like what you said in your video, one of your recent videos. It's like applying a screen protector to your phone.
Right. All
you have to do is squirt as much water as you could possibly can and just place it. It's really not that difficult.
Yeah, I have to say that so my first choice was to get that tan color that you have right there. I am very happy with the blue. I don't want to say it's even growing on me. I think maybe if I had the choice and knew about the blue ahead of time and saw it firsthand, I might have bought it anyway. So I think they're both amazing looking. But the only big difference between the two, besides the color, is the finish. You have a matted finish. My buddy Andy from 732 MTB, who's a Invisi Frame like master dude, he had said that the matted finishes are a little easier to put on because it doesn't slide as much because you've got a little bit more texture on the paint.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that it's easy, you know, meaning, oh, you had it easy because you had the. I'm just saying that his point was because the matted finish is a little bit more textured, and he's done 8 of these things, and 7 of them were matted. He said that the sticker just didn't move quite as much.
My buddy, you're right. I think you're right, because then recently my buddy James, who also owns MLC Adventures, bought a YT Capra, and he installed the Invisi Frame, but the glossy finish. And that was a little bit harder to place because the glossy finish also, you can see the imperfections, your fingerprints into it.
Yep.
You know, it's a little bit more finicky. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a video from Andy, and I did a video on the top tips on how to install Invisi Frame. Yeah. And I think Frank, Invisi Frame is it's basically a big old sticker that's specially cut to fit all the areas of your bike. It's a sticker coating. That's really what it is. Frank, you're one of my best friends, and you're asking me what Invisi Frame is when I just put a video up on Invisi Frame. Wait a minute.
Busted.
Busted. So really, it's a big old sticker, pretty much, but it's super duper cut, precise to fit on the bike, and it works amazingly well. And to your point, you're totally right, Dre. The darker frames, the slicker frames, you can see more of the imperfections. You have to take more time. I'm sure with your bike, with the lighter color, the tan, you can probably barely even see anything on that bike. And so I got really lucky, dude. So I got my bike. I got my bike directly from Santa Cruz. I did get it through Sussex Bike Shop. Jason Ziegler, freaking awesome dude. Great bike shop. If you're in the local Vernon area over there, stop into Sussex Bike Shop. Jason rocks. And he basically just said, there's your box, Gene. I'm like, woo! So I actually got to build the whole bike up from scratch. Oh, and nice. The big benefit to that was we literally had just the bare frame to put that sticker on. It was so much easier than having to get around any cables, around anything. There was nothing. There wasn't even a fork. There was nothing on this bike. All we had was a bare frame. The cranks were. It comes with the cranks on it, but that was about it. That made it a lot easier to install everything.
Yeah, true. Same thing for the YT Capra that my buddy just bought. You know, it came in a box, but you know, we put the Invisi Frame before we had it built completely. It was a much easier job because you're not messing with chains and cassettes and things in the way that are unnecessary.
Yeah, definitely. That made it a lot easier. So having that bare frame, put it on there. While I was doing it, I have to say that it's all in that video. There was a lot of imperfections because there's like soap suds behind the sticker. And I'm like, oh, Christ, what's going on? It's not going to... Everything washed out. Everything went and cleared out. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Everything went and washed out. And I would have to say that I would not have done it again if you caught me in the middle of the install. But now that it's done, I would easily say that I would Invisi Frame all of my bikes. I totally think it's worth it. Invisi Frame is awesome. So that's cool.
To tell you a little story, I went riding with Josh from Daily MTB Rider. Mm-hmm. And we were up on Galbraith Mountain in Bellingham, and I told him that I had the Invisi Frame, and he had to squint and look. Because you couldn't see it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. On my bike, unless you look in some key areas, it's amazing. I couldn't believe how well it worked out.
Yeah.
So I haven't done too much to my bike. I did switch the dropper seat post over to a fall line dropper post from 9.8. I did that primarily, one, because they sent me a post for free to try and test out, which was super, super cool of them. The other reason why I wanted to do something regardless, I'm not a big fan of that hydraulic line for the lever. I don't see the purpose of it. I think it's taking something that doesn't need to be so complicated and just use a cable. I'm missing the true benefit of it. Maybe, okay, there obviously is one, or they feel there's one, or they wouldn't continue to do it. But I just think the cable is so much easier. So even if I went with the reverb, I had gotten from Wolf Tooth, I had gotten the conversion kit to convert that sucker. Yeah. Now, since I'm not going to be using that dropper post on this bike, I'm taking that conversion kit and giving it to my buddy Joe, and we're going to do the kit on his bike so we can do a review on how to install that conversion kit. So Wolf Tooth, for folks, if you don't know, Wolf Tooth makes some crazy great stuff. And one of the things they make is a really good thumb for your dropper seat post. Yeah. And it's called the remote. And they also make conversion kits to convert your other bikes, and especially your reverbs, to a cable actuated way and get that hose out of there.
One of the biggest complaint that I've heard, that I've seen on YouTube about the Reverb Stealth, this particular hydraulic seat post, is that it tends to seize in cold weather.
Yeah, I've heard of that too. Yeah,
I've never had that happen. I've ridden in snow and I live in the Pacific Northwest in Washington. Never had a problem with it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is something to be said about the old-fashioned mechanical cable actuated, because
right,
it's hard to fail. And I've ridden this since November and never had a problem, and so I don't have a particular opinion.
Okay.
One of the things that I've tried before was one of the P&W dropper posts, cable dropper posts.
Okay.
And those are amazing. Those are lasted for years. Never had an issue with them.
Well, I'm probably going to do a show pretty soon on just dropper posts and have some people on the show to talk about those, because there's so many we talk about those. It's a pretty important topic. People are really into them. There's so many out there. As far as this bike goes, this Nomad, something that I liked a lot about the frame was all the cool guards they put on it. The bottom of it, they have guards on the bike for when you put it over, like a pickup truck tailgate.
Yeah.
They have a little fender in the back that protects the shock from the mud. They really took a lot of time to put together the bike nicely, where a lot of the key areas of the bike you want to protect have these plastic guards on them.
It's interesting because the carbon version has two plastic protectors on the down tube. One is towards the bottom bracket, and one is sort of halfway through the down tube, right? Whereas the aluminum version does not have that one on top.
Oh, it doesn't? Wait, what doesn't it have?
It doesn't have this guard right here.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why that is. I'm assuming it's something to do with the carbon frame and it being a delicate spot. It does rub a lot. I drive a truck and I put it on the tailgate of my truck, and that's the spot where I can see a little bit of wear and tear.
One thing I ended up doing is in that little U part right behind the fork and the top, I did put a little bit of a sticker in between there. For the folks that are watching this over here, let me see if I can do this with my finger. Right there on my bike. Right there on my bike is where I put a sticker, because I wanted to go and make sure I have, because when you go to Mountain Creek and you drop that sucker over the gondola, it ends up messing up that bike. So I put some stickers in to protect it.
For sure, yeah. That's a smart idea. I was actually going to the company Stickered have made custom stickers for my fork, and I was going to ask them actually to do a replacement of that down tube Invisi Frame protector. Something a little bit more custom, something that has the red and the tan color. So it's sort of like a gigantic sticker to replace that Invisi Frame.
Cool. Yeah, well, some people actually put stickers underneath their Invisi Frame too, and then coat over that, so it will protect those stickers, kind of like painting it on there or something like that. It comes out pretty cool.
That's a good idea too. Yeah, for sure.
I think I may. So I don't know how much I'm going to invest in this bike to make it a pedal bike type of thing. I think I'm gonna. The only thing I might do is I'll keep an eye out on Pink Bike and eBay for that shock. The R. What is it called? The R3 RCT. Yeah, exactly. So I want to get the one that has the extra controls on it, so I can have the lockout and things like that.
Yeah, and that would have been a great thing. All I needed was the lockout. The only reason why I went with the X2 is just because you can sort of tune high and low speed compression and high and low speed rebound. Yeah. And if you're getting a shock, you might as well get what helps you the most. But,
totally.
Yeah.
I think I will also pick up the MRP cartridge. I think I want to get the MRP cartridge for that, just so I can adjust the basically adjust the tokens. It's really what you're doing with that. It's pretty cool.
How many tokens are you running now?
I haven't done anything yet, but I'm going to go put in at least 2 for this weekend, and I may order the token kit for the rear shock, so I can try that out as well. I do have a shock whiz that I want to start messing around with, but I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. So I think the Lyric comes with 1 token already.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I added 1 token, so now I'm running 2. And I was looking into the MRP. If you go into the MRP website, there is a little sentence that hints to the fact that those cartridges are not compatible with 170 millimeter of travel.
That I read that. That's why I was a little bit nervous about going with that. Yeah.
So I got in touch with them, and somebody actually replied, and they told me that the Model B,
yes,
actually should fit the Lyric 170 millimeter.
That's what I read. If you go and look at their chart, the Model B is the one that's supposed to go in this, and I might go and order that one, because I do think that that's going to be an upgrade. It's really going to help me with this bike perform nicely at the park.
Well, one of the things that like you, I miss the high speed compression. I don't have that tunability on my fork.
Right.
All I have is rebound, low speed compression, and the good old fashioned pressure. Now, do I think that we need high speed compression on a 170 millimeter fork? Probably not. But as long as you can make it progressive and adjust the rebound right, I think that's a more than capable fork. Yeah. But you're right. You may want to adjust progression depending on the type of riding you do.
Yeah, cool. Hey, we got to do it another time, Dre. Another guy just jumped on over here. Bo Monster's like, hey, can someone tell me who Gene's speaking with? I'm speaking with mountain bike champion, world renowned. Hey, well, let's kick it up over here. In fact, Bo, if you don't know who this guy is, then where have you been? Oh, for
the last 20 years.
Hey, Bo. This is a buddy of mine. He runs MLC Adventures, co-runs. He has another friend that runs that channel as well, and a follower of Regular Guy Mountain Biking. And he's on Instagram. I saw a bunch of his pictures, and he picked up a Nomad that I have one as well. Mine's over there, and his is at his house. And I thought this might be kind of fun to do a Nomad night where we could just kind of talk about the same bike and stuff like that. So that's who is on the channel, the show right now. For anyone that just jumped on, a good friend Dre over here.
So it seems like every one of your guests always has some sort of claim to fame. I was never a competitor. I never won anything. Unless competitive commuting is a thing.
That must be why we get along so well, because I haven't won anything in my life either. There we go.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we've been going at this for quite some time, and every time I think maybe we should kind of slow things down, I'm like, I don't really know if we should. I got more people joining in right now, so we'll keep on going for a little while longer to talk about this. So folks that are just jumping on right now, we're talking about our Nomads, and let's go real quick and say, if you had a couple bucks here, my friend, and you're going to keep the bike for a while, how long do you think you're going to keep this bike for, and what do you think your next upgrade is going to be on this sucker?
I think the Nomad is a 5-year bike. I think the Nomad is a 5-year bike, and the next upgrade, it'll probably be the saddle.
Okay, fair enough. Does it feel good? You don't like it, or what's up with it?
No, I mean, it rides. It's okay. Climbing, I feel a little numb in some areas. So I think there needs to be a little bit more adjustment. But that's probably the upgrade that I would do. One of the biggest things that, as you were saying, Gene, one of the things that I've done in the past that I will probably never catch me do again is install cush core.
Yes, we need to talk. I forgot about that. We have to talk about your cush core install.
We'll talk about it.
Folks, don't go anywhere. It's hysterical. So I know we've been talking for a little while, but it's worth hanging on to hear this cush core. We'll go right into it after. Go ahead, buddy. I don't interrupt, but that's
so. I will probably the next thing you'll see me do with cush core is remove it. I love the cush core, but I'm curious to try that Victoria airliner.
That's where I'm going. So let's talk about that real quick, because dude,
sure.
I'm I'm gonna come right and say I laughed my ass off when folks. If you watch one of MLC Adventures videos, go to his channel, take a look at that video. It's one of his latest ones up there. It's him and his buddy trying to install CushCore. I just laughed. All right, let me tell you right now where I laughed the most. I think it was 4 minutes in. I actually took a look at the clock because you had just pushed the CushCore liner. First of all, let me say this. I should definitely say this. I like the CushCore product. I think it does exactly what they say it's supposed to do. I have no problem with the product other than the install. So I want to make sure I do a little disclaimer over here so people don't say, oh man, Gene's not going to. No, folks, you don't believe me? Buy the damn thing, you install it and record a video, and then you'll be right back to where we are. But if you do get it installed, it does everything they say it would do. And I think it's actually a very good product. But the install is miserable. And you were installing it with your buddy, and you just finally got the CushCore over the rim, and you're like, oh, that was easy. And I'm laughing my ass off going, dude, you haven't even started yet, buddy. That was the easy part. You haven't even started it, and everything for you went wrong at that point. And I'm like, now we're talking CushCore.
So in my defense, that video was shot. We had just received the CushCore in the mail, and it was shot just improvised. You know, we weren't planning anything, and so we're like, oh, this can't be bad. You know, I put it over the rim. It's not a big deal. But then beating the tire and actually getting the tire installed was like the biggest pain in the ass ever.
It's so freaking hard. And I like at the end of your video, you know, one part you're like 12 weeks later, but then at the end of the video, you're finally like done inside your house. You're not even by the bike anymore. You know, we don't ever actually see the finished product. And the funny thing is, when I did my install, people were like, man, I want to watch you do the install. And I'm like, the only reason why I didn't record it is because basically you'd pretty much just, I'd run out of batteries in all my cameras to record the whole. It's a very hard process to get that installed. And it was kind of funny to see you guys, you know, you're tight. I don't want to say anything more about it. Just you gotta watch it. He's doing all kinds of things to make it happen. It's totally worth watching the video.
And then I think towards the end, the tire finally snaps into place and he catches my finger. So I'm like cussing and
I watch you. You're like, ow, and I'm like, ah. So just so you know, dude, in my little circle of dudes that have been played around CushCore, we grade things now on how hard things are. We go, is it CushCore hard or just hard?
Totally.
Because if it's CushCore hard, then that's like holy. It's like double dog. Do you ever watch The Christmas Story? I triple dog dare you. That's how hard it is. It's CushCore hard. The reason why I won't continue with the CushCore is because of the fact that since it is so hard to install, it's impossible to just go and change the tires real quick or do anything like that. I am very much interested in the Victoria airliners. I'm really hoping that I can kiss up to somebody and see if I can get a sample sent over. But I'll definitely want to give those a try because the concept makes a lot of sense, and especially in these bikes, because I'm going to want to run a little bit lower pressure since I'm not really looking to pedal with this bike. I want it at a bike park, just a little bit lower pressure, but be able to have it tuned. So when you get one of these tire inserts installed, it's not just to protect for snake bites and punctures. The Huck Norris is a little bit more just for rim protection, but the CushCore and the airliners, they offer you the ability to kind of almost tune your tire a little bit more with air pressure, and it's interesting. It's a pretty cool idea. I believe in the idea. It can't be that hard to install.
You know, obviously I haven't tried the airliner. The idea of the airliner sounds promising. The only frame of reference that I have is the CushCore, and you're right. It's super difficult to install, and by the time I was done installing it, I was done with the bike. I just wanted to walk away from it. But I do see an improvement in ride quality. So
yeah, definitely.
I was, you know, obviously I never had a flat or a puncture or anything like that this whole time that I've had it, but I do see a benefit in the ride quality and the dampening properties that it has. It sort of eliminates that sort of small grade chatter from the trail. It smooths the ride out a lot. It's almost like you were saying at one point in one of your videos that it's like adding a token to your fork.
Yes, that's exactly what I think. Yeah,
and I think that's a good analogy. That's exactly what it does. It creates a smaller chamber inside your tire. So I'm running the same pressures as I was before. I never actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised about that.
Same exact pressure. I run 25 and 23. And it's always been the same. The only difference is that I can feel that the 23 psi in the front to be more of a flat surface on the ground, as opposed to just a rolling tire or a regular. And you can hear it in the braking performance. When you're braking onto pavement, you can feel all of the knobs. It sounds different. I know it sounds crazy for me to say it, but it sounds different. It sounds like there's a lot more traction going on.
And I think if you're a racer, or if you're one of those people that can, yeah, you're right, JF Rides. If we got 41 people watching this thing and only 15 likes, who'd I piss off? Come on, push the button for crying out loud. Show a little love. It's
I should probably
over here.
Like it too.
It's world-renowned mountain bike champion Dre over here. You know, come on, you gotta.
Commuting champion.
Commuting champion. He knocks over everyone in the way. All right, there we go. 25. Beautiful. Come on, we got to get this thing up there. All right.
I like it.
All right. If not for me, for him.
There you go.
Or if not for us, for our bikes. But so yeah, we kind of went on a pretty good Cushcore tangent over here. But it's just something because I watched the video. If you're a racer, dude, you know, and you need something like this, the kind of protection, or if you can have extra wheels and you want to be able to switch things around, go for it. But for me, it's a little bit tough.
So I'm gonna be the devil's advocate though. One of the biggest things. So we have a trip coming up to Downeyville, right? I don't know if you've heard of the whole B1 biker.
Yeah, I'm riding with him next weekend. I'm gonna not next weekend, July 2nd, June 2nd.
Oh, right on.
2nd, I'm flying out to California, and I'll be riding with Mr. Robert B1 on Saturday.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we're going to that Downeyville trip, and maybe because I'm old, I don't know, I like to prepare. But one of the things is what do I do if I get a flat? Because there's no way I'm going to take that damn thing off. There's no way.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you have to be like a racer with an entourage where you have an extra set of tires so you can do that. Or let me say it this way. If you're a racer and you only have one run, the Cushcore will help you get down to the bottom where no Cushcore would not. But if you're a guy like us and you're out there on the trail trying to have some fun and you get a flat, then you're just going to suck it. I mean,
you're
that's
just screwed, in other words. And so that's why the airliner is a promising thing, because I'm going to be honest, but the shape of the airliner is not as promising as the shape of the Cushcore in my mind. And I may be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. But the shape of the airliner promises an easier removal. So that if you do get a flat and you want to put a patch kit onto the sidewall, then you are able to unbead the tire on the trail side, put a patch, put the bead back in, and inflate the tire. At least get home or get down the hill.
Definitely.
That's one of my concerns. It's just maybe because I like to be over prepared. But if I get a flat on the trail, then it's walking.
Well, so what am I going to do with my little buddy of joy over there? As far as upgrades that I'm going to look on this thing, as far as pedals go, you guys all know I'm a huge fan of the Catalyst pedal by Pedaling Innovations, James Wilson. I love those pedals. I've got reviews and links and all kinds of stuff all over the place. Oh, now Andy 732 MTB just joins right now. We're not ended it yet, Andy, but we have been talking for a little while right now, and I gave you major props. You have to go and rewind the whole thing to listen to when I said how awesome you are with installing Invisi Frame. So thanks for jumping on there. I'm not putting any clips on it, Andy. I'm not. I'm going those pedals. Anyway, so I love my Catalyst pedals. Those are the best. That's what I like to use. Those pedals are as big as the bed on my truck. You guys are a pain in my ass. Anyway, so I did put those pedals on the bike. I will keep an eye on Pink Bike and eBay for that rear shock. But something that I just watched on Bike Radar, I think it's called Pedant, something like that. There's a new handlebar and stem combination that just came out. The Bike Radar has a video on it, and what it's really cool. So if this was the stem of my fork, the handlebar goes around it. It's got this kind of cutout, so you can get the handlebars even further back. So it really brings it way back. I like that idea a lot. I really want to reach out to them and take a look at those. They're pretty cool. So I do want to take a look at a different stem and different handlebars.
Okay.
So that's gonna be probably something on the bike. I will probably go and get the MRP cartridge. I think that'll be cool. And that'll probably be it. God willing, nothing breaks on the bike. If something happens, then I'll do the upgrade. I'd love to go and get the Santa Cruz wheels, but it's just like the low end ones are like $1,200 or $1,500 just for the wheel set. The high end, $1,900 for those carbon wheels. That's like so much money.
So I don't mean to advertise other companies, but if you go online onto Fanatic Bike, I think it's fanaticbike.com, you can build your own set. And if you buy the brand We Are One company,
okay,
they make amazing carbon wheels that are warranted for life, just like the Santa Cruz wheels. You can customize it with the hubs that you want. And I was actually looking at Hope hubs with those wheels. It comes out to be like $1,200, $1,300.
When you get a chance, buddy, send me a link. I don't want to open up a browser right now because I did this once before. I tried to open up a browser and I ended up losing the chat, or I almost kicked off the Google Hangout. And I'm like, I don't want to click any buttons right now. But yeah, send me a link to that. I'd like to go take a look at that. That'd be something pretty cool to learn more about. Yeah, I'd like to maybe upgrade the wheels. And that's the thing. Exactly. Yeah. Carbon wheels. So Live Free and Shred brought up a great, carbon wheels make a massive difference. And I've heard great things about those Noble wheels. Definitely, dude. Yeah. And the let's be honest, folks. It's rotating weight. Okay, so that's the biggest place. That's why I was always the iffy about Cushcore or any tire insert, because you are actually adding weight in the place that you do not want to add weight at all.
I do agree. Rotational weight has a disadvantage in accelerating. Not much downhill. If anything, it'll help you. But the acceleration of a bike is dependent upon rolling weight.
Right.
But you always have to consider the benefits and from running a Cushcore and versus not running it at all, especially if you have carbon wheels, super expensive carbon wheels. Rotational weight to me, especially on the Nomad, being so slack and having such a long wheelbase. So the front wheel to me, and you can probably attest to this as well, but if you ever held a fidget spinner in your hand and spun it super fast, if you rotate it in the way that a normal front wheel would turn, it doesn't really matter. You don't feel any difference. You still feel that rotational weight. But if you swing it side to side, there you go. There you go. You come prepared.
My work is very stressful, so I keep a fidget spinner next to me. There you go.
So if you're spinning that fidget spinner and you turn it the way that the front wheel would, so just left and right, you don't notice a difference. But if you spin it sideways along the horizontal axis or along the oblique axis, then you feel a resistance in motion. It's harder to move it. You feel that the oscillation force, right? So the Nomad is so slack that at times, not all the time, but at times you do feel that shifting problem, right?
I can understand that.
Something that a carbon wheel would probably not eliminate completely, because it's still something in front of you, but at least dampen a little bit.
Totally. That's a good point. That's something else to think about. I think I might look into it because it might be nice to have the extra set of wheels. Plus, the other thing too is that This bike is all boost across the board. So it's not like one of those things where if I bought the wheels and I got, because like you said, this is a 5-year bike. I'm probably only going to keep it for 2, maybe 3 at the most. The reason behind that, I'll completely explain, is that the way Santa Cruz comes out with their new frames, this is the Nomad 4, which is what we both have. This is their latest frame design. This has been completely rebuilt for 2018. So in 2 to 3 years, that's when they rotate their frame designs. Each bike goes. So in about 2 to 3 years-ish, that's when the new frame will come out. And that's when I'll want to sell this one, because right around there is, as long as I take good care of the bike, Invisi Frame, it's not my only bike, so I kind of spread the love around. The bike will still be in very good shape, and I'll be able to sell this bike to flip it to get the next one.
That's a smart idea. This is my only bike for now, so that's all I ride. It's got about 350 miles on it already. Not too much, but like I said, I bought it at the end of November.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, that's we've had nothing but crap weather here in New Jersey. I don't have any miles, but yeah, definitely pretty tough. Well, look, hey, think we're gonna kind of wrap things up a little bit here, because I think we did pretty good. We had a lot of we had like over 40 people, more than that during the show. That's awesome. You guys are freaking awesome for being on this thing. And I think we'll do a lot more of these things. I think what we might start doing, I got an email from Bo over here. I think he had a really good idea. I was thinking about doing something called the Regular Guy Roundup, and I'll advertise it here real quick, where it's basically just going to be me bringing in a couple of different subscribers on and just talk about stuff, pick a topic, right? I know you guys have probably watched the Off-Camera show, and that was a pretty successful show, and we'll probably try to bring that back again. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't mean we can't do things like that with this and make it nice and easy. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll probably reach out to some of the subscribers and see if we just get a couple people on the show and we just pick a topic. Like I said, seat posts. Let's talk about seat posts, right? In fact, actually, yeah, Andy, I wanted to bring you on for seat posts because you had a couple of the ones that I was interested in talking about. So I think we might start doing some fun stuff like that, because these are great. People just like to listen about bike. I can listen to bike stuff all night, man, you know?
Well, and also it'd be fun to do more of the technical things, you know, the more obscure technical aspects of biking, and, you know, geometries, or how rolling weight works, you know, just to demystify some of that. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, look, first of all, before I go, or whatever you want to do, I want to thank Dre for being on the on air. So again, one last time, I'll introduce Dre again for people that just joined on up here. Look, we just got some guys on right now. All right, man. So Dre runs with a buddy of his, MLC Adventures. Please go check out his YouTube channel. Definitely take a look at his Cush Core install, because it was funny as hell. And I want to thank you for being on the show today. Your bike looks freaking awesome, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So that's going to do it for tonight. Hey, folks, if you like these shows, let me know. Give us some comments down below. All right. Also, oh yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, throw us a link. I'll definitely give you the link to in the descriptions. All these things go on MBR Radio. I try to put these on there, so we have the podcast version of these shows. People like to listen to these when they drive to work and stuff like that, so you can listen to these shows then. If you have any other questions, leave some comments down below. If you like these things, thumbs up. You know how the whole thing works. And as always, you know, keep the party on the pedals. And I will catch you later on. Thanks again, Dre.
Thank you.
All right, folks, thanks for joining. You guys are all awesome, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.